Right, guys, going to do a quick one on LMU online racing and why and what the problems actually are. Right, so I thought I would do a video to demonstrate it because there's a lot of talk about, oh, if you run assists in ranked races, you know, it's not a real advantage, it's just to help new people and all of that. Well, I'm going to put that to the test. So for this, and I'm going to do a recent hypercar race I was in as a test bed, right? So I'd recently done the Bahrain that was on the hypercar spin around on the intermediate class.
Temperature's rising. It's now 43 Celsius.
And I looked at the logs, and there was a couple of guys using stability control. I'm going to put that on low, and they were also using, well, the entire grid in that particular race was using the ABS in-game assist from the menu. So I'm going to do the same thing. So anti-lock brakes, here we are on low, and I'm going to leave stability on low because 2 or maybe 3, I forget which it was, of my opponents in that race were running the stability control. So ABS on, stability controls on. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to log this in Motec. Then we're going to do maybe 3 laps with the assists on, 3 laps with the assists off. We'll look at the lap time differences. We'll see then what Motec has to say. Now, just for reference, right, my I say quickest lap, it was 1:44.9 or 44.8, I think it was, on this track. No idea what this is going to be. I'm just going to put 14 litres of fuel in the car, leave everything as it is, and we'll go and start driving.
Logging enabled.
So the logging is on for Motec. Going to do the usual, like outlap will take handy-ish. I don't know what to expect. I haven't driven one of these with ABS or stability control. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what I complain about. Let's see what it actually does. Considering I'm on cold tires, that felt very safe. Very safe. No wheel lock, despite being heavy on the brakes there on cold tires. Alright.
Temperature's decreasing. It's now 30 Celsius.
Okay, that genuinely felt like having a cheat turned on, breaking into that there. Like, the tyres are stone cold, no wheel lock up at all, and the car kept turning. Yeah, I'm definitely able to brake a lot more. Remember, stability control is on 1, so I should be safe on throttle, or a lot safer, and I should be somewhat safer on the brakes from over-rotation. I feel like I'm just able to get the car slowed down way sooner compared to not running ABS. And this is ABS on 1, by the way, so the lowest setting allowed in the silver ranked races. Man, the stopping power, holy shit. And the back of the car is fishing around there, there's no risk ever. I'm able to brake so late here, man. This is like having a... This is like a cheat code, honest to God. I'm braking later, I'm being a bit careless, and I'm not being punished whatsoever. Yeah, this is nuts, man. This is crazy how
Track limits, please, Gary.
How badly you can drive I'm braking about 30 meters, 40 meters later than where I would without ABS, just for reference.
Temperature's falling. It's now 28 Celsius.
Yeah, this is absolutely... This shouldn't be allowed.
That lap time was 146.6.
That was a bad lap, and I feel like I'm still trailing a bit because that's what habit I'm in, but I probably don't need to. Yeah, the car just feels like an F1 car on brakes. Which is probably the opposite of what these are supposed to be like. Abusing the brakes completely here. At least it feels that way.
Time is quick.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Like, I'm driving this like a GTE. I'm braking very, very late, and the car is slowing down without any problem. I'll do one more lap here, just so it's
Your lap time was 145.3. Sector 3 time is fast.
I could go a lot quicker than that. A part of me doesn't want to, because I don't want to like update my records on my tracking software like for a lap that is, you know, I feel cheated almost, but whatever. This is nuts, man. There's no risk of lockup at all. This is ridiculous. Yeah, the advantage it gives on the hypercar is absolutely off the wall. Bullshit, man.
That was 144.6. Good lap. That's your best in the session.
Alright, just wife let me know she's heading out. Anyway, yeah, that's a new personal best for me on this track, thanks to the assists. There's more time in the car, for sure.
Log building finished.
Yeah, I think if I spent a bit of time just getting used to that extra help, we'd be knocking, let's say, another second off that time, easily. Probably more. Okay. So 44.5. And I felt I was able to abuse the brakes, just drive very poorly and get away with it. Let's now turn off stability control, and let's turn off the anti-lock brakes. Okay. Now let's go back. Actually, I'm just going to go back in just to make sure they have actually turned off. Yeah, they have. Anti-lock brake is off, and stability control is off. Okay.
Logging enabled.
Okay, let's get a log going for this as well then. We'll do the same, outlap and maybe 3 laps just to see. I mean, the lap time might be different for sure, but I'm more concerned about what the car's like under braking and stuff like that, and then we'll go into Motec and look at the logs. Already it feels, Jesus, okay.
Tyres, we need to get some heat into them.
Yeah, so as you can see, it's not the same car at all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's the outlap, so let's be fair to it, I guess. Yeah, this is crazy.
Pretty hot. Your rear brakes are hot.
Like, whatever about the lap times, and I don't know what lap time I'll probably do here, but from a driving point of view, with the assist on, it's like an arcade game, almost. It's nothing like this. This is the real McCoy. This I'm getting the actual car as intended. There we got lock up as we slow down, which we didn't get with the ABS turned on at all. And then we just have a generally snappier car with the stability control turned off. Yeah, this is way different, man. Way different. And I'm kind of trying to be neater, but at the same time I'm trying to drive it similar-ish to the assist one, just so it's fair, you know. There's no point in me adjusting too much. And just a car, I mean, if I brake any harder there, we're going to get lock. I mean,
Air temperature's decreasing. It's now 26 Celsius. Your left front's hot.
plenty of lock up on the inside right as well. This is nuts, man. The difference is drivability is shocking, like genuinely shocking. And look, I can't brake there the way I could with assists. No chance. No chance.
Track limits.
That's a huge advantage to people running assists. Massive advantage. I tried it there on purpose and it wouldn't work.
Sector 3 is 2.2 seconds. Slower than your best.
Okay, we get the lock at the slower speeds, which we don't really in the ABS assisted lap. Yeah, we just cannot drive in the same manner with assists turned off. like the assists actually transform the car to the point where it feels like, I don't know, it's certainly not. Yeah, and this is messy because what I'm trying to do is drive it similar to the ABS lap, right? I'll do one lap after this maybe with, let's say, adjusted approach, where I'll drive it like the car actually is with without ABS and without traction control. Because at the minute I'm just being a little bit loose to, well, I'm not being loose, I'm driving it the same way I did with the ABS assisted lap and the traction control turned on.
Tyre temperatures are fine. Sector 2 is 0.5 off your best.
And you can see the delta, like, you know, over a second a lap to the red. Let's see, let's do one more. Yeah, the car just isn't stopping the same way. And then getting on power, the stability control turned off is fishing the car around the place.
That was at 146.6. Sector 3 is 0.7 off your best.
It feels like I have to brake about 30 metres earlier in any of the high braking speed corners, or the high braking areas. You know what I mean? And I just can't keep the same brake pressure on into the corner, and that's losing then brake force.
Sector 1 is 0.2 off your best. Your front tyres are cold.
I'd imagine the overall delta to be like over half a second. It's a miracle. It feels just like I'm only 0.3 off, but it feels way more, I have to say. And picking up the power as well is sketchy.
Sector 2 is 0.1 off your best.
Okay, so
145.2, sector 3.
almost 0.7 off the pace then. Let's do one more. Oh, actually, do you know what? We won't do one more. There's nothing to prove here. It's slower. Without, like, for sure. Let us then kind of figure... I mean...
Finished.
Right. What I've done, I've saved the logs. We've seen the laps, right? So I've saved the logs. What I'll do, I'm going to jump ahead into Motec. We'll pull up Motec and we'll dig into exactly what's different, why it's different, and what advantages are there. And, you know, again, I've done some laps so we can objectively look at it. So we know, okay, quicker with assist to the tune of about 6-7 of a second per lap. That's massive, right? Now, I feel if I had to practice with assists turned on and my whole driving approach change for this car, and I can tweak it to be more aggressive and stuff like that, we could be talking like over a second or more advantage per lap. Anyway, let's pause this here and let's jump into Motec, and yeah, let's go into the data and actually put this to rest once and for all and see what the actual advantages are. Alright guys, here we are at Motec. So what I've done, I've loaded in both runs on the right hand or the left hand side here. So you can see the quick one with the assist of 44.5 and then the quickest one without the assists, the 45.2. Right, so let me just bring up a delta so you can see how the time is lost over the lap. So there's no time lost on the straights, but as soon as we get into a braking area, it's just consistent losing time. The actual apex speeds look to be the same, so this appears to be purely losing time on the brakes and on the brakes alone. So let's look at this, I suppose, corner by corner, right? So corner 1 into a heavy braking zone. Let's just zoom in on this element, right? Now, what we want to look at is the braking. Now the white line going up here, that's the lap without the assists. The blue line is the one with the assists. And down the bottom, I have this brought into meters. So we've got 500 meters, 550 meters, 600 meters. That's essentially the track distance, or the distance covered in the telemetry file. So we can see here that I begin braking at around the 515 meter point, or 515 meters into the lap. The assisted lap is able to brake about 40 odd meters later. We can see there, like almost 550 meters. Now look at the speed. With the blue line up top, and we're looking now up at this part here. This is the speed trace. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for a moment. So the speed trace, I'm able to hold more speed with the assist, but look at what happens when we get to the V min of the corner, essentially the slowest speed for rotation, as we can see up here on the top left. We're actually at the apex roughly here. There's the steering angle and whatever. So we've managed to brake we've managed to brake about 40 to 50 meters, let's say 40 meters later, but we still get to the same corner speed. Look at the brake trace down below. I actually need to hold the brake on for longer unassisted initially. So you can see here, let's look at the third line. I maintain my brake pressure, just see where the mouse is here. I maintain my brake pressure through the whole braking phase, and I trail off the brake exactly the same almost. So that's just habitual, it's grained into me. But the fact I've been able to get on the brakes almost 40 meters later to achieve the same apex speed, that puts beyond any doubt that there's a massive advantage online from running ABS assists. Anyway, let's not just look at one corner. Let's look at let's look at some others. And by the way, this is my first time looking at the data. I haven't looked at the data and cherry picked out pieces for a YouTube video. This is my first time looking at it as well. So let's learn together. Corner 2, another heavy braking area. Let us look at this in isolation. Same thing again. So here's the brake. So I begin braking. You can see the white line going up. I bleed off a little bit due to a little bit of wheel lock, and then I'm back on the brake again, and then I trail off the brake down to zero as normal. But I begin braking at around, where am I? Probably braking at around let's say 1230 meters into the lap. And so I'm braking at about what, 1300 and let's say, yeah, let's say 1330 meters into the lap. And then with the assisted lap, I'm braking at about 1300 and let's call it 70. So again, another 40 meter or so advantage. So we can see a pattern here. It looks to be 40 meters for heavy braking zone seems to be the advantage. But look at the speed difference, right? Because I've had to brake sooner unassisted. Look at the white line here dipping where the mouse is. But by the time we get to the apex, the V min speeds are pretty much the same. Okay, there's like a 10k difference or so on the entry in favor of the assisted, but remember we're also running the stability control, so I don't get any snaps at the rear. When I tried braking later in the unassisted video, you could tell that the back wanted to snap away quite a lot. That didn't happen whatsoever with the with the ABS, and the stability control turned to low. So it was never a threat of it at all. Where with those assists turned off, the threat was ever present. Okay, so we've looked at corner number 2. So again, and bear in mind by this time in the lap we are 0.4 of a second down after 2 corners. Moving in then to the mid section, so the high speed kind of right left before going down the hill. Let's just highlight this. I don't expect a massive difference here because we're not braking to zero, but again, I've had to pick up the brake maybe 10 meters or so earlier in the unassisted setup. The bleed off was normal. That's into the first high speed right-hander going down the hill into the left-hander. So that's the right-hander. So yeah, as I expect, not much to see there. Let's move it along. Yeah, and then this is just a lift, so we're not going to get anything here. Let's jump ahead then to the braking zone for that awkward pain in the ass right-hander at the bottom of the hill at Bahrain. So same again. Now bear in mind we're doing a lot slower speed at this. We're doing like less than 200k, so it's not a massive braking zone, but it's still, So I'm braking at about 20. Let's call it 21.05 meters, so 2.1 kilometers or so into the lap. And then with the assisted, I'm able to delay that braking by about 15 meters, roughly speaking. That then, and look, actually, so I managed to, trail off relatively similar. But you notice that my brake has to be more progressive with the unassisted, the white line here. So it's like a smooth kind of semicircle almost, where with the assisted I can stab at the brake and then immediately come off. Again, sloppy type driving, but whatever. That alone takes the delta from 4/10 up to we lose half a tenth immediately just before we get to the slowest speed in the corner. And then as we accelerate away, we probably pick up the throttle slightly different. So we're 3.5 to 4/10 down still. So we gave away a bit on the entry, and then we were able to kind of get off the corner a little bit cleaner by stroke of luck, I think. Moving on then to the very awkward double left. This is where I expect to see a bit of a difference. It felt pretty different, and yeah, true enough. Yeah, so what we're looking at here is the brake for the kind of faster left before like the really, really, really slow left, almost hairpin. So again, unassisted, I'm braking at, let's say, the 2.525 kind of mark, and with the assist I'm able to delay that by about 15 meters or so. That gives an exact delta where we're talking like 3/10, and by the time we've got to V-bin, again we've got to the same speed, but the ABS assisted one gets there later, but still gets to the same speed nonetheless. I think on the unassisted I managed to pick up the throttle quite nicely, if I remember. And again, bear in mind I've only ever done 3 laps with the assist turned on, right? So had I been practicing this a little bit and got more laps with the assist, we'd be looking at massive differences here. But again, just for the sake of this, to do a quick video, So yeah, you can see the time being bled away over the lap, and miraculously we actually pull in a tiny bit in that section, in that crappy section. But if I look at the data closely, why was that? Let me just check one thing, because it's important that we explain why that might have happened. And I'm just going to look at the there's the throttle, sorry. Oh, yeah, it's on the screen. So the throttle pickup, I'm guessing, might have been a bit better. Yeah, look, I'm on the throttle that bit sooner on the non-assisted lap. That explains why we didn't lose any time, which ordinarily, if the throttle pickup had been equal, we would have lost time. So that explains that. Just my superb driving line on that lap was the deciding factor on that corner, rather. Right, so let's look at the next sector then. So the fast-ish left-hander up the hill. Again, like the braking difference is, I'm braking at about, what are we, 3260, let's say 3250-ish with the unassisted, and with the assist I'm able to delay that braking by about 30 meters. And not only that as well, look at the steering angle comes on a bit, like it's hard to see there, but the steering angle comes on slightly earlier with the assist as well, but I suppose that's not too important. But looking then, by the time we move on, we trail off the brake in the exact same way. But look at the ABS assisted lap as well. Like, I'm actually fully on the brake and begin turning, where with the unassisted one I can never go fully on the brake, otherwise we're going to get lockup. And you can see then the speed difference down here as well. We both get to V-min at the same time, even though the assisted brake was delayed by like 30 meters, and you can see the speed down is much more aggressive. So it appears not only you can brake later, but when you do brake, the speed comes off a lot quicker as well. Anyway, so that's into that corner, and I just want to bring that forward a little. And you can see going up the hill, like again, the throttle position pickup is much more aggressive. This is the yellow line here, so that the throttle is being picked up much more aggressively on the assisted one, because remember we have the stability control turned on as well. Okay, so that's another thing to note. And because of that early pickup on throttle, we've gone from like an advantage of like what 0.2 up to almost, you know, we've lost a tenth and a half just in that one corner. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit again, and going up the hill, not going to have a massive difference here. Now the penultimate corner, right hander, let's see what's going on there. Alright, so unassisted again, I'm braking earlier and more progressively. That's the white line coming up here. Trailing off is pretty identical. With the ABS assist, I'm able to delay braking by about, what are we, 13, yeah, let's call it 10 meters. Nothing major going on this one, to be fair. Yeah, still later, still able to hold speed for longer, again, to meet the same V-min almost. So yeah, not a massive difference in that one. And then finally, where I felt the biggest one was that last corner. I felt a perceivable and certain difference in that, to be perfectly honest, and I'm surprised. This actually felt more than this. So coming in, I'm braking unassisted at about, let's say, 47 and 10 meters, and with the assist, I'm braking at about 47 and let's call it 25, 30-ish. So let's say 25 meters later. Look at the speed trace. So because I'm braking earlier on the white trace, which is the non-assisted one, I'm obviously bleeding off speed, you know, quickly. But then I have to come off and bleed off earlier to avoid wheel lock. And you've seen on one or two of the laps where I did actually lock and run wide. But I was able just to keep the ABS assisted one, like the pedal, buried in for longer, and that resulted in a much more aggressive drop off in speed. And then, more worryingly, if you look then at the yellow trace down here, this is the assisted throttle, if you like, the assisted runs throttle. We're delayed in picking it up, but once we do, we're actually at full throttle quicker, because without the stability control on the white throttle graph, it's more snappy being picked up. If we look maybe at the previous lap to that, and this was where I was trying to, let's say, not correct too much for the assisted run, right? And the difference here was probably going to be larger. So let's highlight maybe the first corner. You can see the brake coming up. I've gone fully on the brake with the unassisted. That locks the wheel, and before you know it, like, we're down and we get a terrible exit. And you can see the steering input on the wheel down here is a little bit more choppy compared to the assisted run. Let's go forward to the next corner, and again in the white you can see a correction this way, then a correction the opposite way, where on the orange graph, which is the steering trace, you can see the steering inputs are much smoother. They're much more in one direction. They're not back and forward. There's no battle going on inside of the car. At least it feels that way. The braking traces are even more pronounced on this run. But yeah, you get the idea without going like crazy into the detail. I think you get the idea. One other thing I noticed, and just we'll wrap up on this one. If I pull up the brake, brake graph here, and let us maybe look at, maybe let's look at this, right? So what this channel is supposedly doing is looking at the brake position and the longitudinal g-force. So basically the back forward pitch and g-force. In layman's terms, how much brake is giving what amount of g-force in slowing the car down. So let's take turn 1. Let's highlight this. So and this is interesting, and this kind of confused me and worried me, I guess is probably the better expression. But the white trace is my unassisted brake pedal position. So 95%, and that's equating to about, let's call it 2 point. Like what are we looking at? We're looking at about 2.4 G of deceleration in that zone. Likewise, if I look at the assisted ABS, and this is the highest point on the assisted one on this corner, by the way, right? So we're at about what? We're at 81%, but yet the actual G-force on the brake is 2.9 G. So we are able to generate, it seems, more braking force for less pedal input when we're running ABS assists in LMU. At least that's what the telemetry is suggesting. Okay, and then moving on, you can see that the brake force, let's assume the top bit up here, let's call this equal braking roughly between both pedals, the assisted and the unassisted. But look down below. It seems that the assisted brake, which is the yellow, maintains a higher brake force, or let's say a higher G-force in deceleration compared to the unassisted brake pedal. Let's then have a look at turn, the second heavy brake in turn, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. But whoops, let's get that back. Yeah, let's have a look at this one in a bit more detail. So the same thing again. So at 85% max pedal force on the pedal, I'm getting 2.2 G of deceleration. At that same 85% on the assisted, actually that's probably not a good comparison. I mean, you could see the difference. I mean, 85% on the pedal is getting me like 2.1, 2.2 G of deceleration, but yet with the ABS assisted run, maxing out the pedal, like we're decelerating at almost like 3.4 G. I mean, man, like, speaks for itself, doesn't it? Okay. And the rest of the trace then just drops off as normal, nothing to see here, kind of thing. Alright, let's look at some of the other dodgy braking zones. So into the high speed downhill section at Bahrain. We see the same again. For the same pedal force, let's call it here is the intersection. We are getting about an extra third of a G to half a G-ish of brake force from the assist. Not to mention, like, you can abuse the pedal, as you can see here, and gain all of the grip. The interesting thing is if we look at this from a let's say take out the time perspective, and we look at this purely from a distance perspective, we can see that I'm braking later, I'm braking stronger on the assisted one, which is the coloured line, and the coloured line still exceeds the unassisted brake, let's call it the base rate of deceleration, by 0.6 of a G. And bear in mind, like, we're limited as well on how much brake force we can apply without running the ABS. So not only are you going to be quicker, but you also have less to think about, less to worry about. You probably won't flat spot your tires. The advantages are bonkers, to be perfectly honest. I didn't think that the advantages were this big, by the way. before making this video. But now that I've made it, I'm kind of regretting I did, because it kind of makes me not want to go online to LMU too much. But anyway, separate discussion. Here we go, very slow right-hander at the bottom of the hill in Bahrain. The white is a more progressive brake trace, as you can see, but it never hits the same brake force that we do here with the assist, which is the yellow line. So we're braking at 2.5 G versus 1.9 G for the non-assisted car. And then this was the biggest one, I think, was into the very slow turn 8, 9, 9, 10, whatever it is. The left corner, the very tight left at Bahrain at the bottom of the hill. So I found I couldn't really get into the brake because you lock up there so easily, and if you don't lock up, as you've seen with me, because I wasn't running the stability control either, the back of the car wanted to snap around as well. So I had to really, I couldn't give that much more brake, which is the white line. I couldn't give it more than half brake, I felt, because yeah. With the ABS assist on, I could brake later. I could not give a crap really. I could get into the brake a lot harder, hold it there longer. And again, you shouldn't be able to do that. And then the peaks as well in the actual brake deceleration was a lot higher as well with the assist, the yellow line. So it's obviously peaking much higher across the entire brake trace. And then we're into the corner. We're probably off the brake at that stage, and we're back on throttle, so the G-force goes negative and whatever. Okay, and then let us go forward. You can see those little jumps there. That's the gear shift. Change to the longitudinal G, and okay, this is comedy stuff. This, so the left-hander going back up the hill in sector 3, I think it is. So we brake later by about 40 meters ish. We have to brake less to avoid lockup. On the ABS assisted one, we get straight into the brake, we mash the thing, 100% brake trace, and look at what that rewards us with in terms of deceleration. We're talking 3.3 G against 2.1 G in the deceleration phase alone. And that maintains a difference of like over a G for almost 40 meters ish. From 300, actually probably from 330, it's probably earlier, it's probably from here in fact, right? So from 300 and 3296 meters all the way across to about, yeah, I mean, look, that's a, yeah, you're talking like 50 odd meters of a deceleration advantage, and a big one at that as well. You shouldn't be able to do that with assists. I don't give a crap what anyone says. Okay, let us then move on to the next corner, which is up here. Yeah, same again. Later on the brake, harder on the brake, much harder, because we don't care about locking up, and the longitudinal deceleration is, you know, again, anywhere from half a G to 3/4 of a G to the advantage of the assist. And then finally, where I felt the biggest was the final corner. Now this is interesting. This is good. So on this lap, we both the unassisted and assisted Gary's brake get into the brake fully for about 20 meters worth of the braking. Then I have to trail off in the unassisted, otherwise the wheel lock will remain on. In the assisted, I can keep the brake on fully for longer. But look what happens as well. I've broke earlier here, and you can see the trace going up, but at no point, even with the same brake force applied, the longitudinal G is always in favour of the ABS. And this is what I've always said about people online when they're using these assists, right, is that not only does it give the advantage, but it also, you know, because they're not locking up, but it also allows them to brake later. So from this experiment, what I'm finding is that if I brake perfectly unassisted. It's still not enough. Anyone could run an assist and still have a higher maximum brake force. At least that's what the data seems to be suggesting here, right? You know, well, I mean, okay, I mean, we could explain some of that G-force because it's, you know, we're braking later, so there's more inertia slowing down, but then it begs the question, well, where's the limit of the tire? Because we can't do it with control brakes, you shouldn't be able to do it with ABS brakes. But it seems that you can, which, you know, yeah, I mean, that's it, guys. I mean, like, you know, yeah, and you can see the G-force slight variations in the braking areas around the track, but yeah, I mean, you get the idea, right? That it's difficult to race against people running these levels of assists, and you know, when that falls into what we call ranked racing, you know, you have to kind of ask yourself, like are we being real here? You know, like, we're judging people based off their ability online, both in terms of speed, driver safety, driver acumen, whatever, and then anyone can just toggle this on or off from the menu and get that sort of an advantage. I will say, like, and I'll repeat again, and this is very important, that if I had spent longer in that Toyota with the ABS and the stability assist turned on, I probably would have gone down the road of making the setup a teeny bit more aggressive. It felt very safe. It was like almost like running a cheat, to be honest, and we'll probably get flamed for saying that, but it did feel, put it this way, right, the Toyota with the assist and the Toyota without the assist were two different cars. They were not the same car. And there's no way that you can compete fairly with that level of assistance if, you know, if we're going against capable drivers. So what's the best way to test that? Well, I'm pretty experienced with sim racing. Like, I'd like to think I'm quick-ish. You know, I can be consistent, I can be objective. So that meant like a couple of laps that were similar. The one with assist like felt way easier. I won't go as far as saying arcade, but it almost did. Right, do you know what it reminded me of? It was like the Formula 1 game where, you know, if you have a safer setup, the physics don't matter anymore because you have this magic hand controlling the car for you. You're just pointing where you want it to go, picking up the throttle at a certain point, braking at a certain point, picking the right line. That's it, really. There's just no thought of physics going on. There's no thought of weight balance, weight shift, wheel lock. Throttle pickup became less important as well with the stability control, I found. And braking, just not only could you brake later as you've seen, but also the weight shift on brakes, where, you know, I'd almost lost the rear like once or twice without the stability control, but with the stability control, all was forgiven, metaphorically speaking. So yeah, look, guys, we leave this one here. Why I'm making this video, right? I really want, and I've been banging on the forums for a while with a few others, that these assists, ranking perspective, need to be looked at. And I get it because it opens up the whole thing about, oh, you know, what if someone you know, needs assistance to drive, or they're completely new to sim racing, or they're on a controller, or they have a disability and they need to run these assists. Like, fine, I get all that, I get it, but the assists are giving an advantage, and that's where, you know, you have to think, well, okay, is that fair? And then you kind of think, well, look, if I want to play any sport professionally, right? And let's assume, and let's call sim racing an esport, just for the sake of, you know, being like a logical argument about it. It's competition. It's competition between people online. So if we're going to treat it as a sport, esport, whatever, it, you know, dictates by its very nature that, well, if you're going to compete with other people and you're going to have a ranking system to say, well, he's better than you and she's better than you and so on, well, you have to all be starting from the same position. You know, you have to have either assists on for everybody or assists off for everybody. If people need to get up to speed with the game, or if somebody has a disability and they require the assist, then do we have like a separate, let's say, server or servers for running assists, and they have their own ranking system? And the reason I say that, and when I say they, I mean they as in the people that run assists, right? The reason I say that is because you cannot compare an unassisted driver to an assisted driver in terms of skill or ability. You cannot do that, and I've done the test back to back here. It's not a level playing field. Anyone that is able to control those cars without assists and do a reasonable lap will destroy any other driver running assists. Without, the difference is huge, and I've crapped on about it for a couple of weeks now, but this is the first time I've actually gone in and looked at the data in a hypercar, which in theory will show it, I think at least will show one of the bigger differences from braking and stability, and it did, and the difference was huge. And what caused me to do this was I started looking at the result logs of a few of my previous races. In the intermediate hypercar race at Bahrain, the entire grid, sad to see, was running the ABS assist. There was 3 people running the ABS and stability assist, which is what I've ran there. And you could see the difference it made. Minimum of 0.7 of a second per lap quicker. And I honestly, guys, that would be more. I didn't want to waste time trying out more laps when we already see the difference is clear and tangible. Yeah. What I'm doing, and what I've done, I've managed to get my way up to a gold safety rating, and my intention is to race in some of those gold rated races, because I know that assists are not allowed. I think you can, you can't run them or whatever. So I'm personally trying to look at that. But yeah, that's just me. And yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Was this a surprise? Did you expect it to be so much or so little? Did you expect more? Yeah, we leave it there. I don't want to ramble on too much, but I do think it was important that this was discussed, and not just discussed, well, oh, he's running assist, he's quicker, he can brake better, blah, 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 right? I went, done the test, we got the data into Motec, and the truth, or the facts, whatever, are there for everyone to see. Opinions don't matter, right? The facts require no explanation. It's what we do with the facts from here, is what I'll be looking at Studio 397 and whatever changes, patches, hot fixes, whatever they push through to fix this, whether that's ballast being added to cars, whether it's the effectiveness of the ABS being reduced, whether if a player runs ABS that the actual brake torque is reduced from the physics. I don't know, but the way it is currently, can't call it a proper online ranking system. It's an online fun racing system at the moment, but if you're looking at this and you're looking at win rates, podium rates, and all of this, just don't waste your time, because the playing field, as we've seen, is not level. And by the way, and finally, I've looked at logs of pretty much all of my previous races, and I can tell you now, particularly in the bronze, at least half of the field, it's more often than not, about 4/5 of the field is running ABS assists. No, I never do. I sim race to sim race, I want to do it properly, right? But I just worry people are doing it for an advantage rather than for help that they might need if they lack the skill, let's say, to control these cars and stuff, and prevent lockups. If the skill is not there, I can understand the assist. But if you're a competent driver and you're running assists purely for an advantage over your competitor, then I have to question if you're into sim racing or not, or you just prefer like some kind of simcade or arcade game. because, you know, Formula 1 has that. The Formula 1 titles, they're, let's say, Simcade. Go there. Or maybe the player pool is too hot, and that's why you're racing guys that are not running assists. Because you know that you've got the advantage. Which annoys me a little bit, but you know, whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. Okay, we'll leave it there, guys. As I say, let me know what you think of this one, and yeah, not really what I wanted to see. I knew there was going to be an advantage, but not that big. But thanks for watching.